Hi guys, welcome back to the archive. So for this week's Saturday with the Archivist, I found something really exciting this morning. And yes, I get very weird. This week's video is going to be a little bit choppy because I'm going to move the recording equipment around so you can actually see what I see. So I was going through the shelves because I was looking for something specific. I found a really great item from a past resident, and this resident was here in the 1920s. So I got really excited because actually this is a Heidelberg Catechism 20th Century Edition book that was presented to a resident who was confirmed here on campus. Now, I got excited because inside of the book was actually some writing about this individual. And what it says is that it belonged to one of our residents. It has her name, and that it was presented to her by Reverend Moore on November 21st, 1923, and then she was confirmed on April 20th, 1924. So I got excited because I'm like, okay, well, I can research now the owner of this book. But unfortunately, when I went and grabbed the confirmation pictures, we don't have pictures that go back that far, so I can't correlate it to that person through a picture right now. But what I could do is I could go into our spreadsheet where we're documenting the book of life from the first individual, Caroline Angle, who walked through the door of our orphanage to most present residents. And I was able to find the individual. I was able to find out when she came here, how old she was when she came here, and that's where it stops for right now. So, got pretty excited about that, but that's not what today's about. I'll get back to you on that later when I find more information. What I got excited about is when I went over to the shelf, I found this. It is a book. It's called Conservation. It's a hard wood cover book, and it was created in 1940 as a class project. The teacher who was here on the campus and was teaching children needed to come up with a project that would encompass the vast number of students that he had. These were 5th and 6th grade children, and they made a conservation scrapbook as their project. This was done in 1940, as I said, by Walter A. Rohrbach. So in 1990, which I opened up and I found the receipt, in 1990, the pages of this book were found intact and together, and it was made into a book to preserve it. It went so far as to make these wooden covers, which recycling wood, great thing. So when you open up the book, the first thing I found was there was an obituary for Dr. Walter A. Rohrbach. He passed away December 28th in 1989. But before he passed away, he wrote down an introduction to this book to explain what it was for. And what he said was that this project was designed to meet several needs. Obviously, there is a need on the 5th and 6th grade level to develop a student's ability to express him or herself through well-constructed sentences and well-organized paragraphs. A second need resulted from Bethany's custom to provide each child with one stamp per month for a letter home to relatives and or friends. Thirdly, since the classroom contained at least 50 pupils, there was a need from the teacher's standpoint to develop an independence at least among the better students. This enabled the classroom procedure to be planned and organized in an efficient manner. To make the work interesting and to provide constant motivation, a central theme needed to be chosen. With the teacher's early interest and deep concern for conservation of natural resources, and a number of discussions with the pupils, this topic conservation was chosen. Since the letter writing was the responsibility of the school, it was felt that the letters should be well written, and it's signed by Walter Warbach. This letter was written in 1989 to explain the work that he did in 1940, and unfortunately, a few short months later, he passed away. So when I opened it up, the contents in this are laminated. The original documents are laminated to protect them. They're handwritten, except for the index of names on the first page. So I got excited because not just what's contained in the pages here, but because of the names. Because I can take these names, which I started to do, and I wrote down the names, and I'm going person by person to find out what age the individual was when they came to Bethany, what their entry date was, what their date of birth date was, and a little more information. What's the resident number? Where were they in relation to the number of children that had come through under the current superintendent? And I'm adding all of this information together. Ultimately, it gives me a broader perspective on the individuals who wrote in this book. And it gives me something that later, should one of their relatives come back and say, hey, do you have any information on my ancestor while they were a resident there? I will be able to, through our software program, Past Perfect, I will be able to put this individual's name into that system along with a digitized version of the work that they did and make it searchable so that not only can I pull resident files on individuals who were here, I can also pull work that they might have done. Newsletter articles they've written, homework they've done. In the case of that catechism book, I can show that I have their ancestors' actual catechism book here. We have scrapbooks. There's all kinds of things that make the process more searchable and provide greater information to relatives who are trying to find out about their family while they were residents or inmates here at Bethany. I know the word inmate has a negative connotation, but when the census records were done in the early 1900s, they weren't called residents, they were actually called inmates. A little off-putting to me at first, but I understand that it was a different time and they used different verbiage. So, going through this book, it is really interesting that the documents are signed by the students who did the work. There's pictures. It's really interesting to note the way that they reached out to get more information from outside the campus. So anything that they got sent into them through their letters to help them solidify their research was placed in the back of this document. The actual, research documents, so that they had proof of their work. And this is a little over 200 pages of work done by students here at Bethany in 1940. So this will go on display for Alumni Appreciation Day so that our residents who return to us on that day, they can actually look at this and get a broader idea of some of the education and things that happened here at Bethany in 1940. Hope you enjoyed our little lesson, and I will see you again soon. Thank you, and have a great Saturday, people.